Hello guys, welcome to another market review. We are going to start with Euro USD as always. Right now we are staring at a weekly chart, and last week there was no review, but we had FOMC and Euro USD tried to break uh, out of this range it's been trading in for the last 3 to 4 months, and the rejection was really sharp, and it closed inside the range. Now, when you have one of these uh, big wicks and really small bodied candles, before everyone would expect lower, and you know, this is a bearish candle, there's no denying in that, but you do tend to get some filling of this candle, and this is what we had last week. So we had something kind of similar here where we tried to break lower and we couldn't, and ever since then we started grinding higher. So we've now had two attempts to break out of this range, and we are still trapped inside. Now let's drop onto lower time frames and see what we got. Yeah, let's get the drawings on. Yeah, it's too many lines, bear with me. So I'm gonna get rid of some of them for now. I'll bring them later. This is the range I've been speaking of, and this is the when the market tried to break down, but it sharply recovered. And this is the FOMC, um, yeah, candle that formed. And what's curious about this is that there wasn't any macro change or announcement that changed the direction for the dollar, but still the market tanked. It's not like Powell came out and was hawkish. It was as dovish as he could get. And normally when you have a range and price trades out of that range, just like here, it looks like it's breaking out, right? You see this sort of compression to the upside, and like this was the range. These red lines um, are the range. You start after you have one attempt, two attempts, three attempts, and the reactions become dirtier, they're not as clean, and then you start to get closes above when you used to have clean rejections. Then you start to have um, you know higher lows, higher highs. Then you have two pivot levels, the top of the range and this SR line here, which was the origin of this whole down move. And here you see how we rejected. We broke above it, and we had this sort of blow off top when FOMC was live. And then the market breached and broke below this SR level, which is significant. I think it's really important. And the market bounced from the top of the previous range it was in. It sort of deviated above this SR line. Here you can see how it showed support here, and then it broke lower again, and then it found acceptance inside the range. So this is a failed breakout. Now let me get back my other drawings. So when you have a market try to break out and it fails and it trades back inside the range, the expectation is for the market to go to the lower bound of that range. So that is the first part why I think that is one of the reasons why I think it makes sense to have a bearish bias on Euro USD. Now we have to take into account that we only have 2 more days left for this current month, and October will start on Wednesday next week. So that is a whole new monthly candle and monthly open to play with. So I'll be patiently waiting for that. Now I have a small list here of the reasons why I think it does make sense to be bearish Euro USD for the next 1 to 2 weeks. Yeah, the first part I mentioned it was acceptance back into a range, and remember this is the same argument that we used when on Euro AUD here and here. Okay, you have a range, you break out of that range, you sort of blow off top, which would be the equivalent of the FOMC blow off top that we saw on Euro USD. We bounce off the top of the range expected, but then we accept price inside the range. Yeah, and this is what followed next. You go into this lower bound of the bigger range that price is trapped into, sort of deviate below, so you get a lot of short in here, and then you rip them, you blow them out. So why can't we expect something similar on Euro USD? And then we trade higher. This is my main idea, okay? Why do I think it makes sense? I'm gonna give you more reasons. Yeah, the way the market's been behaving for the whole year, every single time we've had these sort of gaps or very inefficient moves, the market has found its way to fill it back. This whole leg here was filled back like this during the course of 2 months, okay? But this part here was filled instantly. Now, we do have this part here which hasn't been filled. So if the market's been behaving that way for the whole year, why shouldn't this be filled back? Okay. I'm not calling for break below, but to trade and fill some of this, maybe. Because if I was short, I would exit around this area here. I wouldn't hold my shorts, till parity. This is very inefficient. So yeah, taking that into account, we have a nice list to be bearish, and the arguments for being bullish, in my opinion, are simply not there. Now, I think the Euro USD long is a very, very crowded trade, and we need another unwinding of positions before we can trade into 120 or something like that. And yeah, I think the market has been I think there's a macro reason I read the other day about, which was that all the front running of the tariffs has already happened, and there's going to be a dollar shortage on the next months. So that dollar shortage is going to mean, it's going to result in dollar strength very likely, because the imports of the and the exports, the imports of products from the US is going to be lower, and the exports of US dollars is going to be lower as well. So, and there's a lot of US debt and payments that need those dollars. And if imports and exports go down, that means that there's a shortage of dollars in the system. So, yeah, I really don't want to be long this market. We also had this sort of trend line which was very well respected, right? And last week, the weekly open was around here. And if we drop onto the H1, you'll see how clean it was, okay? The weekly open was around here, but it didn't make sense to be bearish because we were at the top of the range and we were around this trend line area. So you can expect a bounce from this area, and it does make sense. Fact, as a matter of fact, my initial target was here, but I did not expect this deviation to happen. So now that we have a very clear bearish bias, what are the triggers and how do we get short on this market? Well, I do think that first target is very obvious. Is this bottom of the range part, and the second target would be around here. So I do think that there's two main levels where you want to open shorts and look to short the market. The first level would be this top of the range part, and it is not only the top of the range, it was also the origin of the move up before FOMC, this level here. And the market bounced around this area perfectly, and it also did it before breaking lower. Now this has not been retested as a resistance. So one of the expectations I have for next week is that if the market was to come into this level, it is very likely to experience a pullback. And yeah, I do think it makes sense to play this. Now, whether this is the top of the week, I don't know. I'm not too sure. Um, ideally, I would love to see market trading to this area and reject from it. Maybe drop. I don't know how much is this. 60 pips. Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice drop. Sort of try to find a bottom around this area, break this, and give me another attempt at this trend line channel and this SR level, H1 level, and then we drop massively. This would be my preferred scenario, but I don't know if we are going to get it. I don't know. I'm not too sure, but that is what I'm trying to do. These are the two places to show the market from, in my opinion. Now, next week, as always, we're going to have a weekly open, and you know the market could very well just drop from there. For those scenarios, I can't really map them out right now because I don't have the level. And one of the things I like to do is watch the price action, the first 10 hours of price action on Monday, because you know normally if the market wants to train or go somewhere, it will tell you right here. You see why I like to look at the first 10 hours of the Monday price action because it sort of makes a low around here and then it just rallies. And this is the direction for most part of the week. And you can catch a very large move because the market is telling you that the weekly open is resistance, resistance. You sort of try to break lower, but you know there's some absorption here. And once you get an H1 close above that level, after you've seen its clear resistance and you've had a dropped, a failed dropped, you get the H1 close above and that's it. You can just bid the rest of the day and the next day. Something very similar happened last week. We rejected from it, so we couldn't close above it. We tried to break lower and we couldn't. We had the trend line as support, and the moment you get an H1 close above, that's your long signal. You can hold it. So that's one of my strategies, but that's very short term. It's a trade only for Monday, and that logic, uh, it's for an intraday trade. But this right here is like a weekly basis trade, maybe even 2 week trade. I don't know how long it would take, but yeah, those are my preferred scenarios. Because if the market just went here directly, I wouldn't trust it as much. I'd much rather give it some time, some space and time, and it would be just beautiful. Because we had a very similar pattern on Euro AUD. Look here, you have a trend line acting as support. You have your blow off top, break it below, and the retest from below. They are so clean, so clean. So I'm expecting something similar on Euro USD. So that being said, let's move on to the pound. Now the pound looks even worse than Euro USD, and this monthly candle is every sign you want to have to get out of longs on this market. It's a very engulfing monthly candle, and every single attempt at it has been rejected. Going into the weekly, you see this. This was the FOMC weekend. A very, very clear rejection. And we are still trapped into this range. But if I apply the same logics that I was applying with Euro USD, you'll see we have a very big inefficient move down here. And why can't it not get filled? That's my question. See, you have support down here, but if the market wants to break down, is this low gonna hold? Maybe, but there's every chance as well that the market might just wanna break below. But for now, you know what? For now, I think that these lows are a magnet for price. Because every single time you see something as clean as this, there's people out there willing to long this blindly. They're thinking, well, this is a very clear support zone. So if the market comes here, it should bounce from there. So I'll just leave a limit around this area and long the market. And it might work, but what if price comes very slowly to that level and it bounces, okay, and then it closes below? Are you gonna shit your pants when you don't see a very clear bounce from that? Um, this logic can be applied to a variety of markets. I remember using the same one on Bitcoin. with the 30k level, I think was very, very clear. I think I'm going to jump there. Yeah, why not? It's free alpha. Free alpha. Yeah, I think it's this area. 30k level. Yeah, I'm going to draw a box. Yeah, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. You have a very clear support zone, and imagine you are around this area and you're thinking, yeah, this 30k level is a massive level. It's not gonna get breached. Market's already bounced from there, and we made a new all-time high, a very significant bottom. If it comes there, it's a golden long opportunity, and then the market comes there and it fucking chops you out of that position, and then it just breaks lower. So I'm thinking, why cannot the same thing happen on the pound with this level, right? Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny to see that price action happen here? Especially because we have this gap down here. I'm not saying it's all gonna get filled, but what if price comes here, does this, and then does this? Fucking hell, these people long in here are gonna get mad as fuck. And then, well, we do this. So, yeah, basically I have the same bias and ideas on GBP. I much rather play the shorts on Euro USD because I think it's a cleaner short for now, and the pound has been punished already more than the euro. This is why I think that also the euro is kind of extended against other pairs, Euro AUD, Euro New Zealand, and Euro JPY. And yeah, so my you know, if I see Euro USD go into one of the mapped out zones, I'll take a look at what the pound is doing. But I don't think the pound is gonna get above this level. I do think that if we get an early attempt on Monday or Tuesday at the monthly open, I do think it's a golden short opportunity. Just above this area here, right? It would be golden because I really don't think it's going to breach this level here. But as I said, we've just when you look at the pound, it's already like swiped this low. So it's not like euro. When you see euro, it's like still in this range, and you know, yeah, something like this is what I would like to see. But we'll revisit on the next week when we have the new monthly open, because then I'm pretty sure that it will be very interesting, and then we'll have a lot of things to talk about for now. But yeah, I'm gonna cover gold. So gold, it's been the greatest gain it's experienced, I think, in the last, I don't know how many years, I think. So that's been great for gold bulls. But what follows next? Well, nobody knows. Um, I do think that, three months from now, gold is going to be higher, and probably next month as well. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to go back in time and compare the current candles and see, because everybody wants to get long this market. I do want to get long this market again because I exited all my long exposure around this area here, 100 points lower from the current price. So just okay, we're gonna have a new monthly open in the next 3 days. So the problem with expecting a pullback on the new month is that many times when a market is strong, the low of the month just catches everyone off guard. Because look at this bloody low. What is this? 0.3% drop from the monthly open before going up, I don't know how much, 10%. Fucking hell. So it does tend to catch everyone off guard. So I know the monthly open, the monthly RSI is overbought, but still, this is going to go to 4K and possibly 5K in the next year. I don't see this train stopping right now. I think it's gonna be doing something like this. So just in line with what I was saying, these are the weekly opens, and you'll see that the when the market is strong, price doesn't spend much time below there. Look at this, insignificant, insignificant. And last week there wasn't even a low. It just rallied on Sunday, on the Sunday Open. What is this? A 1 point drop. Yeah. So the plan is to remain long. I don't see the shorts right now. It doesn't make sense to step in front of the trend. So I'm going to go over last week's price action. We had a nice drive off the weekly open, and on Friday we formed this sort of triangle consolidation which broke to the upside, and on the next week I'm going to be patiently watching how the market behaves around here, because if gold wants to remain strong for the next week, this should offer a bounce, okay? But if it doesn't and starts to get messy, then I think you're gonna take all these lows and probably feel some of this gap here. Now, I do think that this low here, if price came into this area, it would be probably the low of the month. So you really wanna get long on this market. Now, if the market does not breach this and starts showing signs of strength, you can apply the same logic, dry off the weekly open, just watch the price action, um, just wait for a 0.5% to 0.3% drop below the weekly open. Um, yeah, it would be something really small around here, and then just wait for price to reclaim the weekly open. I'm gonna sort of simulate it. So I have the breakdown scenario if it doesn't bounce from the top of the consolidation. But if you start seeing closes above, then you can maybe get long this market, and maybe that's the low of the month. I don't know. Nobody knows, right? But this surely has caught a lot of people off guard. But you know, if instead you see prices going up from the weekly open and then it gets below, and you know you just wait for price to break lower, and I think it's gonna cascade below these lows. Oh, why is this? Oh yeah, now I get it. Yeah, okay. No problem. Yeah, I think below here you're gonna get a buyers are gonna step in, really, because I don't think gold is gonna at some point it's gonna chill, right? And some things like Bitcoin will catch up, right? But I honestly don't see this market going below like this whole thing. And still, even if it did something like this, it would be a fucking golden long. Because we have to remind ourselves that this trend, this was a monthly consolidation and we broke above. We broke out of that. And the reason and the fundamentals to remain long gold and silver are there and are going to be there the next year. So you have to turn off your mind and not question yourself so much and just be a stupid bull in this market. That's how you make money. Not doubting yourself with a clear plan and macro with macro on your side as well. So yeah, this would be a great long. Let's move on to silver because it's been outperforming gold. Yeah, this monthly candle is a thing of beauty. And just like I was saying before, when the market broke out of this um, consolidation, however you're gonna call it, look at the monthly candles. See the lows? The, these wicks are insignificant, and they probably traded on the first part of the month. But see here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive monthly candles to the upside, and the largest drop here was around, yeah, a 2%. Okay, well, this one was a bit bigger. But yeah, then you have your, this shakes everybody off. This is, I don't know how much, 15% drop. But then the market remains and resumes the up only mode. Okay, 1, 2, 3 candles to the upside with very small wicks to the downside and huge expansions to the upside. So when the market is doing this kind of trends, uh, you you have to be really you have to pay a lot of attention at the start of the week, at the start of the month, because the lows are probably going to be traded around that time. So let's activate the weekly open to show. Yeah, I mean silver is a bit bipolar because sometimes it just goes in one straight line, it just sends it, and other times it sort of fucks around a bit more than gold does, right? But you see here, very similar thing happened on silver. Just drive of the weekly open, and now it's really strong, even stronger than gold has been. And still, we have this trend line here, and this consolidation. This would be 1.5% drop. Nothing too crazy, but is it good enough to be the low of the month? I think so. I think so. So I do think silver maybe makes the low uh, I don't know how this is gonna play out, but uh, yeah, I'll just watch how price develops during Monday and Tuesday, especially on Wednesday. Wednesday is when you wanna pay attention because you have the new monthly open, and I don't know what price is going to do between Monday to Tuesday. Um, but yeah. So with silver, you know, it's a bit trickier than gold because I don't have the same conviction as to where I don't want to see price trade below. I mean, I don't think price is going to revisit this area here. It's very unlikely in my opinion. I think maybe around this area here, you wanna sort of blindly bid this area for a huge, it would be huge swing position, and you're gonna trade it into the 50 level. Don't be a pussy, okay? And this is our floor because the market did not drop from this shoulder wall. It drifted higher inside of it. Um, Tried to break out, retested it, and then you had this massive leg up. So if the market is really bullish, it shouldn't come here. And if it's, you know, if it's in an up only mode, it's not gonna give you the pullback that you want. This is not coming back. This price is not coming back. So yeah, I do think that, you know, um, you really want to watch how price behaves around this trend line because it might be short trigger if it's bridged, if it's broken down. Okay. However, I would expect just the market to bounce from here, and this may be what we get. Maybe on Monday or Tuesday we have a little bit of chop. Maybe it starts going higher, then it drops and retested this. I mean, ideally, I would love to see it break down a bit, and you know, so that we can form the low of the month around maybe this area here. But yeah, I I, I don't see the triggers here as clear as gold. So, you know, I'm gonna wait for the new month here, and you know, the best place for me right now are short in euro and the pound. But with these ones, I still want to wait for the monthly open because if the month is going to be bullish, just like we saw previously during the silver and the gold bull run, the low of the month is traded very early, and then you have the whole upside to capture. So next week we'll revisit the monthly candle because we'll have a new one, and we will be saying, are we seeing the low of the month? So that's the plan. We need to be smart and patient about it, and I much rather not force a trade after this euphoria that we saw on Friday. Uh, I'm just wondering, some motherfucker probably longed around here. Yeah, crazy, innit? So I'm gonna cover Bitcoin because I fumbled this short. I was trying to get short around here, but you know, I did not expect this. My whole reasoning was that, you know, I much rather long from here than short from here because I'm going with the trend. Yeah, it was bad execution from my part because I had been going over how this was a weekly. Right here, we broke the weekly structure, and it was very similar pattern to what we saw in 2021. And we had weekly RSI bearish divergences, and even monthly. So you have to be cautious about long in that market until you get a bigger drop and an RSI reset. So this was textbook short, not a single close above the level, and then we just broke lower. We breached we we breached this level, and every single attempt has been short-lived, and now we are even trading below this H12 SR level. Okay, so I think that Bitcoin, see, these are the levels I had mapped out for my short from here, which I did not take out, which I did not take. So now I think that you want to see maybe another attempt around this area, just like we saw here, okay? Like you see, let me zoom out. You see here we had one attempt, another attempt at the level. Then we had the bigger attempt, the deviation. No, let's trap people thinking that this is a breakout. And then you just break down. So I think that for the next week, I favor shorts if we see something like this and get below. And the 106 would be the place where I might exit my shorts. Because I think a lot of longs probably will open around the 105 level, which are these lows. But yeah, maybe you can map this out, this low out. Let's see how price behaves if it gets there. Because if the price SFPs that low, you have a long trigger. So I think it's time to pay attention. I think these lows are not safe. And yeah, this is basically the week I'm expecting on Bitcoin. Short from this area. This area should not get even reached. Because, you know, once the market sort of reclaims this level, then I think it's game on and you're going to attempt this. It's very clean. These SR levels are really, really clean on the range. And let's see if I want to cover something more. Yeah, maybe Euro AUD. I don't have much to say about this. I don't have a trade on this one right now because it's in the mid part of the range, and I don't know if longs or shorts are good from here, honestly. Uh, I'm honestly just waiting for price to come either here or here. Um, I think that if that I think that if price comes into this low, you have a good long into the monthly open. But I'm not too sure about price trading back into this zone 181. There's also the fact that I look at AUD against the dollar and Euro AUD to sort of um, get a grasp on which market is going to be stronger or weaker. So that way I know which market to play. So I do think that AUD USD looks better for longs than Euro USD. That automatically translates in lower Euro AUD. Because I think that, and I don't only think that, but it is a fact that the AUD doesn't trend as much as the Euro. Instead, it just chops. It chops a lot. So it's more like this, right? And you only have to see the price action around this area. Well, the Euro was doing parabolic moves. So I'm basically expecting the market to continue behaving the way it's been behaving, right? And I do think that these trend walls are going to offer support to the AUD, and that it's not going to drop as significantly as the Euro. Okay, so that is why I think that it makes sense to look for longs around this area, because price probably going to drop, and you want to see this low around this area hold for a bounce maybe, but I'm not super confident really. We have to see what price delivers around this area if it gets there. And yeah, I think that's all. So thank you very much, and we'll upload another review next week with the new monthly opens. It's going to be an exciting month. Wish you all very profitable trading. See you.